Welcome into another edition of Locked On Phillies. The Phils win another one-run game last night. It was the Edmundo Sosa show, and they've got a chance for the three-game sweep today against the Marlins. All of that on Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phils baseball for years over on 97.5 The Fanatic on the radio. Happy to be here now with you as your host of Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And what a game again last night by the Philadelphia Phillies. It wasn't easy. They probably should have hit Trevor Rogers a little bit better, who has been rough this year. But they mentioned it on the broadcast. John Kruk and Tom McCarthy did bring it up. Trevor Rogers looked like he had a little extra stuff last night somehow. A little bit of extra velo, a little bit of extra movement. He threw pretty darn well. Better than you would expect him to, given the stats. But hey, it's all good. The Philadelphia Phillies win anyway. And what was the Edmundo Sosa game? They won 4-3. So every run came at a premium. I didn't expect this one to be as low scoring as the first game, and it nearly was. 3-2 in the first game, 4-3 in the second game. Now, it should have been a 4-2 win, but the Marlins picked one up in the ninth off of Connor Brogdon. Let's run through the scoring summary real quick, and then we'll discuss what Edmundo Sosa did because he was awesome. We'll get into it a little bit here. Joey Wendle started out the scoring in the top of the first inning by grounding into a fielder's choice to second base, scored LeBlanc, got Garcia out at second, so Wendle beat it out. It would have been a beautiful turn of a double play, but would have been a tough turn for Jean Segura and Edmundo Sosa up the middle. That happens. What are you going to do? Then in the bottom of the third, Edmundo Sosa would hit a towering fly ball to left center field with Matt Vierling on base, and it would leave the yard. 378 feet. Barely got out, but it was really, really high. It seemed like he gave a little skip, a little hop, similar to Sammy Sosa and what he did back in the day when he used to go yard. Now, Sammy Sosa hit a bunch of home runs. I believe this was career home run number 8 for Edmundo Sosa, which is wild because he's hit 2 in the last 2 games. The dude goes from hitting 8 total in his career, 7 total in his career coming into this game. Let's just say coming into the series. 6 total in his career coming into the series. To hitting 2 in 2 days, that's preposterous. The first 2 home runs of the year for him, and he's feeling it right now. Then at the bottom of the fourth, Jean Segura homer to left field. It's listed here as 354 feet. No way. It barely snuck out down in the corner, but it did get out. Counts the same, and it is 3-1 Philadelphia Phillies in the fourth. Now, in the top of the fifth, LeBlanc had an RBI single to right field, scoring De La Cruz, moving J.J. Bleday to second base, making it 3-2. But they would work out of it, and Bailey Falter would get through that one. He'd be relieved in the 6th inning. In the bottom of the 7th, though, with a 3-2 lead, Edmundo Sosa hit an infield double. Yeah, you heard that right. He hit it it ticked off the pitcher's glove, but not enough to be an error. It had some weird spin on it. And then the second baseman was playing in a weird shift and didn't get there. And it was a strange play, but Edmundo Sosa was able to make it all the way to second base by hustling. Matt Vierling scored again, so it was Vierling's second run scored. It was Sosa's 3rd RBI on the night, and it made it 4-2. So a 3 RBI night for Edmundo Sosa. Brandon Stallings would hit a home run in the top of the 9th to make it 3-4 off of Connor Brogdon. That was with nobody on. It was a solo shot. And then Brogdon closed the door for a save. Even though he gave up the run, still got a save in the 2-run lead scenario for the Philadelphia Phillies. So that was good work by him. Let's just talk about Eddie Sosa for a second, though, because he was clearly the player of the game. Probably could have been the night before if it wasn't for the Jean Segura walk-off hit. And he's been incredible lately. He's been multi-hit both of the last 2 nights. He's been playing great defense last night. Now, the runner would have been out anyway because it was interference by the batter. I forget who it was who was up. It might have been Miguel Rojas. Either way, there was interference by the batter on JT throwing down. But Edmundo Sosa goes airborne, catches the ball while jumping over the runner, and then tags him on the back leg while the runner's like tumbling. It was the weirdest slide I've seen in a long time from a Major League Baseball player, but an absolute beauty of a defensive play by Edmundo Sosa to get that tag down. He had a couple other nice plays on the ground. He made the final play of the game by taking it solo to second base. Now, that was routine, but still, it was a scenario where the Phillies could have been in trouble, and Edmundo Sosa just shuts the door. He created 3 of the 4 runs himself at the plate. He was incredible. Now, he's not going to be this guy forever. He's Edmundo Sosa. There's a reason why he's a journeyman major leaguer who doesn't really catch on places, but this is a guy that's really shown up and done everything that he's needed to do to help this team in the past couple games. You'll love to see that. Now, will he start again today with Sandy Alcantara on the mound? I don't know, even though it would be righty-righty, and Alcantara is one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't know if you can sit him. And now, I'll trust what Rob Thompson wants to do because he's been pushing the buttons pretty darn well since he took over. I wouldn't be mad if Bryce Harper played. I wouldn't absolutely not be mad if Edmundo Sosa played again. So either way would be cool. But I'd imagine you're probably going to see Sosa out there again with how well he's played this series, and he's zoned in right now. This is where you squeeze a player who's playing out above their pay grade for all that they're worth. So keep playing them until they fall off the cliff again, and then Stott will be able to come back out and play. But he's been incredible. Now, Bailey Falter wasn't exactly incredible last night, but he did what he's done all year. He got the job done. He got the win. He went 5 1/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, no walks. It was nothing crazy special, but he did what a fifth starter or a spot starter, whatever you want to call him at this point, is supposed to do. Trevor Rogers, you could argue, had the better night. He went 6 innings pitched, and yeah, he did give up 3 earned runs, but he struck out 8 as opposed to Bailey Falter's 3. He didn't walk any. So a good strikeout night for Trevor Rogers, just not enough support from his team, and a couple mistake pitches that led to home runs that really cost him. 87 pitches for Rogers, 74 pitches for Bailey Falter, who had command issues early, but was able to work around that. So that's good. And then the Phillies bullpen, Andrew Bellotti went 1 2/3 innings pitched in relief, which was huge. He had a huge relief appearance there. Only gave up 1 hit, no runs, struck out 3. That was great work by him. Jose Alvarado got a clean inning in the 8th, and then in the 9th, Connor Brogdon was not as clean. He's been struggling lately, but he bounces back and gets the job done. So really good work by the bullpen, really good work by Bailey Falter to do just what you needed him to do. And you look at the players not named Edmundo Sosa. Well, Edmundo Sosa was 3 for 3 last night, so he's obviously leading the way. But Matt Vierling, 2 for 3 night. Good work by him, working away on a couple pitches, which was nice to see. Gene Segura went 1 for 3, following up his walk-off performance with a home run performance. Alec Boehm, 1 for 4. Rhys Hoskins, 1 for 4. Only a total of 8 hits in the game, and 5 of those came from either Matt Vierling or Edmundo Sosa. So the top of the lineup quiet. Maybe that means they're due for a little bit bigger of a game against Alcantara this evening. Who knows? All that matters is the final score says 4-3. And on top of that, the Milwaukee Brewers, they lost again yesterday in Colorado. So now the lead is up to 4 games for the Philadelphia Phillies. You could call it 4.5 if you want, because they hold that tiebreaker over the Milwaukee Brewers by owning the season series. You think back to when Matt Vierling and Alec Boehm went yard off of Josh Hader in the same 9th inning to give the Phillies a win up there in Milwaukee. Those kind of games loom large this time of the year, but a 4-game lead on that final wild card spot. Still duking it out with San Diego to see who will be in the 2nd spot or the 3rd spot, but good couple of wins by the Phillies to stop the skid that they were on earlier this week, last week, everything like that. So it's just a nice performance by them to get back on track in the past 2 games. And you don't need to win tonight because you want to win the first 2 games so that the Sandy Alcantara start, because he's been so good, doesn't matter. That being said, the Phillies have beat him 3 times already this year. Now, he's only gotten the loss in 2 of those games, but one of those other games you won a game that he started. So, hey, count it. No other team in baseball has done that against Sandy Alcantara so far this season, and you rarely see it because, 1, pitchers don't get matched up that much against other opponents, but 2, you don't beat these guys all that often. The Phillies just seem to have Alcantara's number. So a chance to pull off the sweep which would be huge, especially with the Nationals coming into town, coming up in a very winnable series. Things are starting to look up, and the panic I was feeling at the beginning of the week, well, I'm not as panicked anymore thanks to these wins. Coming up next, we're going to preview that start with Sandy Alcantara facing off against Kyle Gibson, and we'll talk about what's going to happen in tonight's game, or at least what we think is going to happen in tonight's game as the Phillies go for the sweep. Let me tell you a little bit about Built Bar first, though. The Built Bar cookie dough chunk puffs are one of my favorite products I've ever gotten from them. I had one yesterday right after I got done at the gym. Today I haven't worked out yet, but when I do, I'm going to have my protein shake after, and I'm going to have one of these cookie dough chunk puffs. They're great for you. They taste great. It's protein-infused marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate with chunks of real cookie dough in there. It sounds too good to be true. But it's not. It's only 160 calories, 15 grams of protein. Now, Built Bar uses collagen protein, so it's easily absorbable by your body, so your body can use it even easier. All of it is great. It's a great tasting snack. It's easy to get on the go. Share it with friends, family. Keep it for yourself. Do whatever you got to do, but just go ahead and try out Built Bar's new cookie dough chunk puffs and their other delicious flavors. If you don't like the protein-infused marshmallow, get the regular Built Bars. They're awesome too. Go ahead and check it out, and I can cut you a special deal just for listening to Locked On Phillies. Go over to Built Bar, and you can get 15% off your order on Built.com with promo code LOCKEDON15. That's 15% off with promo code LOCKEDON15 at Built.com. It's time to preview the final game of this series between the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Phillies have Kyle Gibson on the mound. The Marlins are throwing this guy Sandy Alcantara. I don't know. He must be a new guy. Let's just pretend like he is and not face the music and the fact that the Phillies are going to have to try and once again beat a guy who could be your National League Cy Young winner. Sandy Alcantara, as his name is properly pronounced, is 12-7 this year with a 2.36 ERA, a 1 WHIP in 190 2/3 innings. He's only allowed 143 hits. He struck out 170 batters already, and he's only walked 47. Now, he's not the biggest strikeout guy. Aaron Nola has already cleared reached 200 strikeouts for the year. So there's more room to be done there for Alcantara, but he's only given up 13 home runs. He's giving up 1 runner per inning, and the contact that gets hit off him is not hard contact. He's a really, really good pitcher with great stuff, throws hard, good movement. I could spend all day talking about what makes Sandy Alcantara special. And there's so many things. He's got multiple plus pitches, the fastball, the breaking ball. It's all incredible. The Phillies seem to see him well, though. So we'll see if they can do that again. And Kyle Gibson's no slouch on the mound. He's got a 9-6 win-loss record with a 4.48 ERA this year. You'd like him to be a little bit more consistent and keep that ERA down, but when he's really good, he's much better than that 4.48 ERA suggests. A 1.25 WHIP, so he's averaging a quarter of a base runner more per inning than Sandy Alcantara. Only throwing 140 2/3 innings. He's given up 134 hits, so nearly a hit an inning. The walk numbers are pretty low, though, 42 walks to 116 Ks, so that's good. He has given up 18 home runs, so you got to be wary of the long ball if you are Kyle Gibson. But you got to give the nod to the Marlins in the pitching matchup. Not necessarily in the game matchup, though. The Marlins are now 55-80, and by my math, that makes them 25 games under 500. They're 29-42 away, which means they're actually, they're worse at home. That's interesting, but still, they're not good away. They're not good at home. They're not a good baseball team. They're a 55-win team right now, 20 wins less than what the Philadelphia Phillies have. They should be able to handle this, at least lineup comparison-wise, even though Sandy Alcantara is throwing really well this year. And maybe this is because the Phillies have already beaten Alcantara once, but they are given a 54.7% chance to win this game compared to the Marlins' 45.3% chance. They're minus 135 favorites on the money line, them being the Philadelphia Phillies. So people are saying that the Phillies are predicted to win this game, and I find it hard to argue with that, with how the Marlins have looked and some of the shoddy defense. Tyler Anderson was in a – Tyler Anderson? Brian Anderson? Tyler Anderson. Yeah. was in a rough spot defensively the other night when he struggled against Bryce Harper. There were some weird ground ball plays that could have been better plays made on last night by the Marlins. So they're kind of falling apart at the seams and have been for a long time. And that's just what Don Mattingly has to deal with. It's a young team that's going through growing pains over on that side. Meanwhile, the Phillies are a veteran team, or a team comprised of veterans. They haven't been together all that long, but they're a veteran team that's poised for their first playoff appearance since 2011. They can smell blood in the water. Marlins are in the water, so that's pretty apt. But this is where you should take advantage of a lesser team, complete the sweep, and head into the Washington Nationals series with momentum. It's a 6:45 game tonight. So you're not looking at any lineups yet. We don't have that out. Unfortunately, we do not know what the lineups are for the Philadelphia Phillies. I already told you that you're looking at possibly Edmundo Sosa for a third straight game because of how well he's played. I don't want to say probably one way or another because Bryson Stott, lefty versus Sandy Alcantara, righty, seems to be the more beneficial option than the righty-righty matchup that Edmundo Sosa would get. But hey, Sosa's been really good lately. It'd be hard to keep him out of the lineup today. The other thing that we're looking for, Bryce Harper on one of his swings last night in like the sixth inning, I believe it was, went out there and he looked like he tweaked something in his oblique. He looked like he definitely hurt something, strained something. He finished the rest of the game. He took his next at bat. It was a 4-pitch walk, so we didn't see him swing since that at bat, but he took other swings in that at bat after he had heard it. Haven't heard anything about an injured list stint or any injury whatsoever, so seems like he's going to continue to play through, but keep an eye on him maybe getting a day off today to rest that, and then the DH would be I don't know who you would DH because you've got Nick Castellanos on the injured list. Maybe, just maybe you DH Kyle Schwarber. You'd put Veerling in left. Guthrie would play right field again, and center field would be Brandon Marsh. That would be a tough outfield offensively, but we'll see what they'll do with Bryce Harper, if he's able to DH or not, if Kyle Schwarber's still out in the field, if someone gets an off day. JT Realmuto, by the way, has been incredible lately, throwing runners out. He's had some really good at-bats, too. Maybe JT gets a day off and Garrett Stubbs catches Kyle Gibson. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. So it'll be an interesting lineup to check it out. We'll retweet it from both my personal account at ConnorThomas975 and the Locked On Phillies Twitter account at LO_Phillies. So you'll be able to have that as soon as that lineup breaks. But an interesting game tonight, kind of a house money game because you don't expect to beat Alcantara very often. And you can't come into a series assuming a sweep. But the Phillies have already won this series and they get a chance to go for it. If they don't get it, well, win the next series against Washington, win the next series after that, which I believe is Atlanta, and then it's the Marlins again. And just continue to win series, then you're going to be a playoff team and you'll have momentum heading in. That's what we're rooting for. Now I got to think, where do I put Mr. Broom now that I'm in this new apartment? I guess I'll have to lean him up against the corner of the TV back there. I don't know. We'll find a place to put Mr. Broom if the Phillies sweep. Hopefully, that'll be a problem I'll be worried about for tomorrow's episode. Coming up next, though, we're going to do a little bit of stepping off. Stepping off, of course, the segment where we step off the mound, call time, and talk about something a little bit adjacent to the game. Not the strategy, not recaps, not previews, anything like that, but something side topic-ish. And I have a good one today because I have to talk through a couple of things with a certain phrase that you hear around baseball this time of year. I'll explain coming up next as we wrap up with stepping off. Okay, so in stepping off, we got to have a little conversation about magic numbers. That's right. So here's how magic numbers works if you're not familiar with them. Magic numbers is a way to determine, and it's not just baseball, but it's used mostly in baseball because of the number of games that they play. They're playing every night, so you need the mathematics to help you figure out how far away a team is from clinching. Basically what it is, and there's only two teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention by this point, by the way. The Oakland Athletics were the second team. The Washington Nationals were the first team eliminated. That was 2 days ago for Washington. Oakland was eliminated yesterday, I believe, with a midday loss to the Braves. But those are the only two teams, I believe, in the entirety of Major League Baseball to be eliminated so far. So every team has a magic number. It's how many games they need to pick up on the team chasing them in order to make the playoffs and clinch a playoff spot. So what that means right now, so the Phillies are being chased by the Brewers. There's a certain number of games, like if the Phillies win X number of games or the Brewers lose X number of games, they add up to showing that eventually the Phillies will be in or the Brewers will be in or vice versa. Now, the Phillies, we wake up today with their magic number at 22. That's an easy thing to keep track of. The Phillies, when they win, subtract a half game from that number. When the Brewers lose, subtract a half game from that number. So if the Phillies were to win tonight and the Brewers were to win tonight, the number would be 21 and a half tomorrow. And then 21, and then continuing, and working all the way down to 0. Now, if the Phillies were to win and the Brewers were to lose, that would be half point. It would drop a full number, so down to 21 and 20, 19, etc. You get the point. Now, magic numbers drive me insane because I think it's way too much math just to look at the standings, see how many games up you are and how many games you have left. Yeah, I don't need magic numbers or this, that, and the other thing. That's when you're competing for a division and you're way out in front and you're trying to clinch early so you can rest your starters and stuff like that. I don't care. I'll get a notification on my phone when someone tells me that this is clinched or that's clinched or this team has won this division. The Phillies, I'm not worried about magic numbers. I'm worried about, and Ruben Amaro Jr. talked about this on the postgame show last night, about getting set up and isn't the third wild card spot maybe the best place to be? Can you lose games to get there? Do you rest guys? And he said, this is baseball. You can't do that in baseball. There's too many variables. There's too many things that can go wrong. Any given day, any other team can win. It's just there's too many games that make up a season. Resting guys over the course of a couple, it could be catastrophic down the stretch. You put too much effort into all of this to mess around with it at the end. So, yeah, don't concern yourself with magic numbers or clinching this or doing that. Go out and you put your best effort in to win every game, every day. The rest will take care of itself. The Phillies, I believe they have an 85% chance to win or to make it into the playoffs. So it's more likely than not that they're in. Just continue to take care of your own business. Leave the magic numbers to the stats nerds and everything like that. And you're going to wake up on October 5th when the season ends, and you're going to say, hey, we're in or we're out. And it will reflect exactly how well or how poorly the Phillies have played. Now, of course, you know where I stand. I still think they get in. Despite my early panic this week, which I remember I still said that they're going to get in, but I was nervous about the collapse, and I was starting to have scars of the past. I was seeing ghosts and everything like that. I just don't need the magic numbers to tell me that. I'll look at the standings. I'll figure it out. It's very simple. It's just an added type of analytics type of number. I've always thought it was dumb. So if you like magic numbers, the Phillies are at 22. I explained to you how to do them. I'm not a huge fan of them myself. I'm just going to count the score at the end of the night and see if the Phillies scored more runs than the team they're playing against. That's me, though. I'm a simple man. You may be much smarter than me and much more enjoying of mathematics, and then the magic number could be fun. I just like that the Phillies scored 4 runs last night and the Marlins scored 3. So that's my stepping off, a little bit of a quasi rant on magic numbers and how I feel about those. Now, we don't need magic numbers for football. There's only 17 games. And I want to thank you again for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. Now, for your second listen, go check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022. It's an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season, which starts tonight. Bills, Rams tonight. Eagles, Lions, for all you Birds fans out there, starts on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And we've got the whole preview here for Locked On, the local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combined into one ultimate NFL preview. So search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview on Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Go ahead and check that out. And really appreciate you doing that for the Locked On channel. It'll get you all ready for what you need to know for the upcoming Eagles and NFL season. That's it for today's Locked On Phillies. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing, following on Twitter, following on all the socials and everything like that for what we put out in Locked On Phillies. A fun stretch run is coming. We want to make sure we're keeping up on everything going on with the Philadelphia Phillies, and the best place to do that is right here at Locked On Phillies. So Appreciate all the follows, likes, subscriptions, reviews, everything like that. Please continue to do that, and we'll continue to put out great content as we head towards, hopefully, a red October. And I will talk to you tomorrow, hopefully after a Philadelphia Phillies sweep on the next Locked On Phillies.